It's about the silent buzz of drones slicing through the sky, hunting targets from hundreds of kilometers away. Both sides have turned unmanned aerial warfare into a defining element of this conflict. But now, Russia is taking it a step further. Russian drones struck deep inside Ukrainian territory, hitting not just any infrastructure, but critical drone factories. So how damaging were these strikes? And what could this mean for the future of Ukraine's drone industry and the war itself? Let's break it down. Since the full-scale invasion in 2022, drones have become central to both sides' military strategies. Ukraine's capacity to produce and deploy UAVs has enabled it to conduct deep strikes into Russian territory, target military infrastructure, and gather intelligence. But on July 5th, that capability took a serious hit. Russian Geran-2 drones struck a UAV production facility in Konotop, reportedly damaging critical infrastructure used to assemble drones for Ukrainian forces. Not long after, another facility in Kiev, also suspected of drone manufacturing, was hit. The destruction of production facilities hampers Ukraine's ability to replenish its UAV fleet, which is essential for both offensive and defensive operations. With fewer drones available, Ukraine may face challenges in conducting reconnaissance, targeting Russian positions, and defending against Russian advances. Moreover, by targeting Ukrainian UAV production, Russia temporarily reduces the number of drones available to Ukrainian forces, potentially slowing down Ukrainian counteroffensives or retaliatory strikes. Now, let's talk about the weapon behind the strikes. We've actually explored Russia's use of the Geran-2 before, but it's totally fine to go over it again briefly, because the way Moscow is deploying these drones is evolving rapidly. At first, many saw the Geran-2 as a low-tech kamikaze drone, but in 2025, it's become a centerpiece of Russian drone warfare. Engineers have reportedly upgraded its guidance systems, improved its GPS resistance, and synced it with Russia's broader ISR network. What makes Geran-2 strikes so effective isn't just the drone's range or explosive payload, it's the cost ratio. Ukraine often uses Western-supplied missiles worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to shoot down drones that cost a fraction of that. With every launch, Russia forces Ukraine to either expend valuable air defense interceptors or risk losing critical infrastructure. Furthermore, these Geran-2 missions reflect a larger strategic shift. Rather than focusing solely on frontline assaults, Russia is investing in long-term disruption by hitting logistics hubs, industrial assets, and command centers. This infrastructure attrition warfare seeks to erode Ukraine's war-making capacity over time, without necessarily needing a breakthrough on the battlefield itself. The attacks also shine a spotlight on Ukraine's domestic drone ecosystem. Over the past year, Ukraine has increasingly relied on decentralized, small-scale drone production to bypass Russia's long-range missile threats. Civilian garages and tech workshops, repurposed for wartime production, have played a crucial role in building thousands of kamikaze drones and surveillance UAVs. However, the recent strikes show that even this agile network is not immune to precise Russian intelligence and strike capabilities. This development could force Ukraine to rethink its entire approach to drone manufacturing. Centralized facilities, while more efficient in output, have become high-risk targets. As a result, Ukraine may be pushed further into dispersing its production even more widely, possibly into underground facilities, or even to allied territories outside Ukraine. But this shift would come at the cost of production scale and logistical efficiency. In the short term, The strikes represent a psychological and tactical win for Russia. By successfully targeting key assets in the heart of Ukraine, Moscow sends a message about its continued ability to conduct deep penetration attacks. It also reflects improved Russian intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance capabilities, either through satellite support, cyber espionage, or internal informants. If this pattern continues, Ukraine's domestic defense production could face severe bottlenecks. The strikes have also sparked concern in Western capitals. Why? Because Ukraine's drone strategy relies on two pillars: foreign imports and local production. Knock out one, and the other has to carry the full load. Western-supplied drones, such as Bayraktar TB2, Switchblade loitering munitions, or RQ-20 Puma, are powerful, but they're limited in supply and hard to replace quickly. To fill the gap, Ukraine had leaned heavily on its own designs, like the Bober drone, the UJ-22 Airborne, and swarms of cheap, garage-built FPV kamikaze drones. Volunteer groups and private tech companies have also contributed to building thousands of FPV kamikaze drones, which are cheap, agile, and effective against Russian armor and fortifications. Now, with facilities in Konotop and Kiev under attack, Ukraine's ability to sustain that local pipeline is under threat. This could leave the country more dependent on Western UAV imports at a time when international attention may be wavering or shifting toward other global flashpoints. Additionally, any major disruption in local production would undermine Ukraine's ability to experiment and innovate, two things that have kept it agile on the battlefield. In response, Ukrainian officials are urging Western partners to expedite deliveries and consider transferring assembly lines to safer locations, possibly in Poland or the Czech Republic. Some have even floated the idea of joint production agreements, where NATO-standard drones could be assembled using Ukrainian components in allied countries, providing both security and continuity. At the same time, there's a push to expand the use of dual-use components, commercial parts such as camera gimbals, lithium batteries, and flight controllers sourced from global markets. But this approach has its own risks, including supply chain bottlenecks and the growing threat of Russian intelligence targeting these networks. Ultimately, the strikes are forcing Ukraine to rethink its entire drone supply strategy. If it wants to keep pace with Russia's increasingly sophisticated drone doctrine, Kiev must secure not just foreign deliveries, but also the means to protect and diversify its domestic production base. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.